Yes. Now we will continue with understanding the stored procedure. This is one of the important topics in any RDBMS, stored procedure and stored function. And in simple term, what is a stored procedure? This is not specific to SQL Server. They begin, even including all the topics, whatever I discussed so far, the begin transaction, try catch, all the things are available in other RDBMS. Maybe the syntax will be different, okay? Even like other RDBMS software, the stored procedures are available, right? The same thing is available here also, but the syntax is a little bit different. So what is stored procedure? Can you tell me in a layman's term, what is stored procedure? It's something like having a recipe for a dish that you can make it again and again without having to remember all the steps each time. It's kind of a ready mix. Okay, you want to prepare your favorite dish. Ready mix is available in the shop. You don't have to put all the ingredients. You don't have to remember what ratio you need to put it, everything. Everything is readily available. You go and buy the ready mix, and then what you do is you pour some water and mix it. That's it. Then you are all set to prepare your dish. Okay, the same way the stored procedure works. Okay, you create a stored procedure once, and then you can execute it repeatedly or as many times as you want to. Create once, use it as many times as you want it. Okay. So what is a stored procedure? It's a group of SQL statements. It's a pre-compiled collection of SQL statements or a group of SQL statements. Okay, the stored procedure can be used to perform the complex data processing task like a data validation, data transformation, or data manipulation. You can do it. Okay, so like I said, it is a pre-compiled and pre-optimized piece of code. It can be executed repeatedly by calling this stored. Once you create it, you can use it as many times as you want it. So what are the it can be created and it will get stored in your database. Once you create a stored procedure, as the name says, it will get stored in your database. Okay, so that you can use it whenever you want it in the later point in time. Okay, this is the syntax for the stored procedure. Create procedure name at parameter 1 and followed by you specify the data type. On the right side of the equal sign, you specify the default value if you want it. Okay, this is optional on the right side one, or simply you specify at parameter 1 data type. So you can specify whatever the name that you wanted. For example, you want to say HRA or basic HRA at basic at HRA, and this is a decimal. This is a decimal. You can specify on the right side. You can specify the value. You can hard code the value, but this is an optional. Okay, you don't have to specify it. Okay, and followed by this, you need to specify as this is a reserved word, and then begin end statement. Inside the begin end, you need to specify the body of your stored procedure. This is where you will write your logic here, business logic. Supposing you want to compute the net salary. Okay, net salary. In that case, you put all the formula, everything here, and then finally, right, you will output the value of the net salary. Okay, what is the advantage of stored procedure? The advantage of stored procedure is it gives you the reusability. You take any employer, when you go for an interview, they'll ask you what value you brought to the table. If I hire someone else in place of, even he knows what is the procedure, how to create it, how to execute, everything he knows. But what value beyond this you bring it to my table? Reusability. I have created reusable components. When you create the reusable for example, to compute the net salary, previously our payroll department, they need to manually, redundantly copy the script here, and for each and every employee, they need to compute it. It's a time-taking process. Since they are doing it redundantly, right? For each and every employee, the calculation, it led to error. Okay, so what we did, we have created a reusable component. All they need to do is just specify the HRA, pass the HRA, sorry, basic HRA and other details. That's it. This stored procedure will give the net salary for each and every employee. Reusable component. Thereby, by creating this stored procedure and sharing it to the HR payroll team, that improved their productivity and reduced their error, manual error, everything it reduced. And with this, they are able to automate it now. And also security. The stored procedures can guarantee the permission to specific users or groups. That is also possible. And also, performance. From the performance point of view, the stored procedures can be compiled and optimized by SQL Server, which can improve obviously the query performance. Okay, and modularity. You take stored function or stored procedure, both of them are meant for reusability, and you will find some kind of modularity. What do you mean by modularity? This can be, the stored procedure can be used to break down your complex task into smaller and more. For example, you want to compute the gross salary. Okay, for that use some procedure, and then or within the procedure itself we can specify separate, yeah. So or let's we create two procedures. One procedure is for gross salary computation, others one is for the net salary, or within the single procedure you can compute the gross salary and net salary. It gives you an idea. Okay, if you want to make some changes based on the recent policy, you can go and specify the formula in the appropriate place. Okay, so modularity will be there. Okay, we'll start with a simple example. What do you mean by reusability? Okay, I'll start with a very simple example here. How to create a stored procedure? Create procedure. The procedure name is something like get all employees, something like that. And as here I did not specify the parameters. Even the parameters are also an optional thing. Okay. And here what I do is I just use begin and end, but this is mandatory. You need to use the body here. Here what I do is select star from star from employee table. And then next what I do is I just select this one, hit the execute button, no error, nothing, good, it is working fine. Now I created the ready mix. Okay, how do I reuse? How do I use it? Once you create the stored procedure, obviously you need to use it. How do I use it? How do I execute the stored procedure? To use this stored procedure, you need to execute it. There is a reserved word called exec. You can either use small letter or uppercase for exec. And here you specify your stored procedure name. In this case, select everything, execute it. There is an already object named get all employees. Okay, what I will do is this procedure is already there, but it got created. Okay. Since I just a while back I created it, I should not have selected the entire thing. I should have selected only the exec command. Now the invalid object name employee. Employee is not available here. Okay, I just select the database, use demo db2. In this database, the employee table is there. And I think, in this database, I need to create this stored procedure. Previously, I created in some other databases. Okay, and I just click on it here. Press enter. Look here. You don't have to use select star from employee. Simply you say, execute get all employees. That's all. In this case, right? It simplifies your job. So you are using it. If whichever table that you want to execute it, that specific table name also you can see. In this case, what I did, I created a simple stored procedure. Here I did not even use any parameter. In the begin end block, I mentioned only one query. And how do I execute this stored procedure? Creating the stored procedure is not sufficient, right? You need to reuse it, isn't it? So, but it's something like you bought a car, but if you don't use it, what is the use? So, right, similarly, you need to execute the stored procedure. So execute and then the stored procedure name, that's all. Okay. So what happens is this one invokes this stored procedure, and then the body inside of this one will get executed in the output of the one. You can see it in the results window. Okay, this is, in this case, I did not use any parameter. Okay, if I want to use any parameter, but in the real world scenario, you will be using parameters. You need to pass the parameters to your stored procedure so that you can make it more dynamic. For example, I am going to use num1 int. I'm going to declare two parameters int, and so that I can make my stored procedure more dynamic. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say select at num1 plus I want to add these two values. Okay, whatever the value that what are the values that you pass it. Let's say you pass two values, you give any two values, numeric values. This procedure, what it does is it adds them. Okay, or if you want to square them, right, you can do it that way. Okay. Okay, in this case, let's start with a simple example. I'm going to use some name here, add numbers, something like that. Okay. I'm going to execute this procedure. Sorry, I'm going to create a new procedure, stored procedure. Yes, the stored procedure got created, no error. Okay, in this case, I'm going to execute now. I need to use this stored procedure. If I execute this stored procedure just by specifying this procedure name alone, not sufficient. So followed by, if I wanted to reuse this stored procedure, if I want to call this stored procedure, in the sense I want to use this stored procedure, okay, invoke this stored procedure, you need to use exec, followed by that, you need to use the procedure name. But in this case, we have used the parameter. If we execute this, it will throw an error. So expects parameter at num1 which was not supplied, followed by the stored procedure name. You need to supply the values for these two parameters, num1 and num2. You need to supply the values for these two parameters, followed by the stored procedure. For example, if I say 20 comma 22 comma 23, and then if I execute this, it gives me 45. 22 plus 23 is 45. Correct, right? The value 22 gets copied to a num1. The 23 gets copied to your num2. Okay. So in this case, the advantage of using the parameters, you can specify whatever the value you want. Supposing you want to put some bigger number, okay? Plus, if you want to add any bigger number also, you can pass any value. Once you create the stored value, you can reuse it as many times as you want it. And also, it helps, sorry, not plus, here I put comma, right? Two values, you need to supply it. And I'm going to execute it. Look here, it added these two values. This value got copied to num1, the second one got copied to num2. Okay, so it returned the result of the stored procedures. In this case, the sum of the two input parameters, which is this one, 1 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So now the stored procedure is very dynamic, right? You can pass any two numbers. The functionality of these procedures add those two values. If you pass any values, you can pass any values so that you don't have to manually add the values. Okay. And what are the other example? For example, like I said, if I create a stored procedure where I want to display the specific employee related details, you can use at variable. Okay, now what I do is I just use the same procedure. In the interest of time, I just copy paste this one. I'm going to replace this create procedure, get employee details. Employee details. Here, what I do is at employee, okay, and it's an integer number at employee ID or something like that, okay, and I'm going to say, I'm going to delete this one. Now I'm going to use a SQL query, select a star from employee, where emp number is equivalent to at emp ID. The parameter, whatever I mentioned it, that's all, okay. And here I'm going to say get emp details. And followed by this, I need to specify the employee ID, okay. And for this, I'm going to say select star from employee. Yeah, you should be knowing the employee number, right? Only then you can pass it. So 7369 and followed by this stored procedure name. For 7369, if you specify the employee ID, this one will get copied to this one. This value, okay, will get copied here, and that copied value will be passed here. Hence, your employee table will get filtered by the employee number 7369. Only that employee name will get displayed. Could not find. Okay, I did not create the stored procedure, right? Okay. Oh, there is an okay. Here int. It is int, not int. Look here, 137. So in this case, I want to write a lengthy query. Simply specify your stored procedure name. Followed by that, you need to specify the employee ID, right? With that employee ID, you can get all the details. In this example, the stored procedure name is the get employee details. It accepts a single input parameter called emp ID. Okay. The body of the stored procedure consists of this SQL statement. It retrieves all the columns of the employee table for the specified employee number 7369. So when this stored procedure get executed, what happens with this specific employee ID? It returns the employee's details, complete for the specific employee's complete details. So what is his job and who is his manager, hire date, salary, all the details. Hope with this simple example, you are able to understand how to create a stored. Other one, little complex one, how we can create it. What are the other scenario that I can create stored with? These are the very simple thing. Fine, from the academic point of view, what you're saying is correct. But in the real time scenario, what are the other scenarios we can create stored procedures? So this is an example for this one. For example, I wanted to display this summary detail for any data set. Okay. And let's say I have something called, let me check. I have created a sample table called select star from sales. Sales table is there, but does this have the columns that I need to use it? But here, yeah, it is correct. Okay. And what I do is, this is my data set. I wanted to display the average sales, minimum sales, maximum sales, and total sales. Okay. For any specific region, if I want it, I should be able to do it. Okay. Instead of writing, for example, if you have to look here, in this case, what happened? I created a procedure, get summary, sales summary, and start date, end date. I have used the start date and end date. In this case, okay, this is not the table. 1 second. Let me just check the demo DB tables. This is also not much helpful. Specific date, we can filter it. You can use a specific date and then you can filter it. That way also you can, execute the query. Okay. So what I will do is, in this case, I have declared all the variables. So this is your parameter. This is your variable. The variable I have declared it followed by the begin. Okay, this is how you can declare the variable inside the begin also. You can declare the variable in your body also, stored procedure body also. Okay, and here what I do is I just go ahead and write a query. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I want to start with calculate the total sales for the specific date range. Select at the variable already, the total sales is equivalent to sum of sales amount. Or else I will do one thing. I'll just put comment here, and you can use the parameter also. With parameter, we can make it more dynamic. Okay, sales amount from sales. from sales table, where if you want to use the filter condition, where sale date between at start date and at end date, you can use it. In this case, since I don't have the date column available in my start date and end date column is not available in my data set, I'm just using it directly here. Okay. And then the minimum or maximum salary, the same thing. You can just store it in a thing like this. And here, I just copy paste this. So you might be asking this question, why should I use, for example, average sales is a variable, and here average. I'm going to use average function here. AVG, okay, from sales. So you might be asking this question. So can't I put all these things in a single SQL query? Yes, you can put it. But if you wanted to check the specific date, right? Specific date range, what is the total sales and average sales we made? In that kind of situation, this is very much. This is another way of finding it. Even in that case, also you can use everything a single SQL query. This is one of the what do you say? One of the applications. You can use it in your thing. Okay. What I am going to do is in this case, and finally select at total sales. Here it is not required. And then I'm going to use end here. Click on execute. Okay, the procedure statement create order must be used the first statement, the query batch. Okay. In this case, don't use the select statement. Executed successfully. Here, what I do is in this case, what you do is you can execute the stored. How do you execute the stored procedure? In this case, since I did not use any parameter, it gives a summary. Okay, you can use alias here as total sales, as average sales, then you will get the column name here. Okay, it gives you the summary. Okay, so the user, if anybody wants to see any tables, you can also pass the parameter for the table also here. Okay, table at table name varchar 20 or something like that. Okay, and the from clause also you can use the at thing. And in that case, what will happen is you can pass any table, simply say execute get sales summary, table name, followed by that you specify the table name, and then followed by that you specify the start date and end date. Okay, in that case, for a specific start date and end date in a specific table, give me the summary. That's all. You don't have to write these many number of lines. This is one of the applications. Okay, for using storage procedure, you can make it more. And other examples are like, for you the assignment is take use the gross salary and then tax rate and deduction and net salary. Okay, gross salary, net salary, tax rate and deduction. 4 variables you use it, and then you need to give me the net salary. Okay, so what I will do is I will. It's already, what is the time now? It is 12:30. Okay, we have some more time. I will just create it because I need to cover a couple more things. Okay. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go create procedure. Another example. Okay. Calculate net sal. And followed by this, I'm going to use the parameter. You pass any value for the gross salary, tax rate, deduction, net salary. It gives you the output, right? It gives you something like the tax rate. Okay, if you want to calculate the tax amount, or if you want to return the tax amount for any specific thing, you can use it. Okay, If you want to get the net salary, see, the whole objective of this one is net salary. You can create another procedure for computing the tax amount also for any given gross salary, or including the deduction, everything, right? What is the tax rate? Or for any given gross salary, what is the tax amount, right? Because the different tax slabs are there, right? If the salary is less than 7 lakhs in India, you don't have to pay any tax. If anything above 7 to 15 lakhs, 25% deduction will be there. And anything above 15 lakhs, 30% deduction will be there. Okay. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just G cell. I know this is I give some meaningful name. And gross salary. Decimal. Here I'm going to say 10, 2 or something like that. Okay. And then the next one is at tax or tax rate. I'm going to say decimal. The interest of time, I just put don't give big number and all. Okay. And the next one is at the tax net salary at deduction. You need to specify the deduction. Deduction is also decimal. 10, 2 we can specify it. Yes, fine. And the next one is the net salary. 4 parameters. Okay, next one is the as begin end. Begin, end. In between, you need to specify the logic here. What we will do is here, I'm going to say declare at followed by the begin statement. You can declare the variable if you want anything. Okay, for example, I'm going to say the tax amount. I'm going to create a new variable called tax amount. Decimal 10, 2. And then I'm going to say compute tax amount. Set at the rate tax amount, store the value, this one tax amount, sorry, is equivalent to the right side at my gross salary into at the rate of the tax rate divided by 100, relation of 100 or something like that. Okay. Sorry. And they calculate the net salary. I have used a simple formula here. Okay. And here I'm going to use set at the rate net salary is equivalent to at gross salary minus net the tax amount which you computed in the previous step and minus our deduction. That's it, right? And I'm going to end this stored procedure here. So here what I'm going to do is these 3 are input parameter. You can use an output parameter also in the stored procedure. This is one of the special feature of using the stored procedure. You can output multiple values. Okay. So first 3 are gross salary, tax rate, deduction. These the deduction spelling mistake. Deduction, and here the education deduction. The one advantage of selecting it from deduction. Okay, yeah, deduction is correct. 3 parameters are input parameters. The last one is the output parameter. Okay, you can return the output parameter also. Let us see if this one works correctly. Any syntax errors are there or something like that. Okay, I'm going to select all these things. I'm pressed tab here. Select all the things so that it will be more readable. And I'm going to select everything and F5. line 14, incorrect syntax near calculate net cell. Calc net cell, where, the line 14, batch dot line 27. Okay, what is this? Why it gives me line 27 compilation time? Okay, what I will do is I'll just put this as a go or something, so that that one is different and this is a different thing. Create procedure name. Okay. And what is the problem here? Line 42. Okay, it gives me line 42. Yeah. So sorry. This is the comment. Comment you need to specify with double hyphen. That is what explained. Thanks. Who put that comment? Thanks, Ramya. Yeah, right. So, but still there are some error as an invalid type. Variable as an invalid data type. Okay, gross salary is an invalid data type, and decimal. Okay, comma output. Why it is saying that spelling mistake? Okay. Decimal. There is nothing. I create a new data type. There will be typo, right? Don't panic when you read the error message patiently. You will be now the stored procedure got executed successfully. We need to execute this stored procedure, but in this case, sorry. In this case, 3 input parameters are there. 1 output parameter is there. In this case, how can I execute this stored procedure? Execute, followed by that, you need to specify your stored procedure name. And then here you can specify. So this is another way of specifying the parameter. Here I can say gross salary. The parameter name, input parameter name is equivalent to, let's say I'm going to give 440,000 or something like that, comma, at tax rate. You don't have to specify the parameter here. This is the best practice. Tax rate equal to 20%, comma, at deduction. Deduction is equivalent to, let's say 1,000, 10,000, comma, at net salary. In this case, I'm going to use at net salary. Okay, at net salary. This is an output, right? Output the net salary. Pass all the input parameters 1, 2, 3, and return the output. Okay, that is what the output. So here, in this case, the net salary outside of the stored procedure, it is not available. Hence, you need to explicitly define the net salary variable. Okay, net salary decimal 10, 2, something like that. Okay, and then if you execute this one, it will work. So now it got executed, right? So the calculate net output. Must declare skill. Okay, so I declared it already. At net salary. Okay, here net salary, at net salary, at net salary. Okay, output. This is how you need to give it. Okay, at net salary. Okay, what we will do is here, then next line, select at net salary, because the output value gets stored in your net salary. Okay, as net salary. You need to execute everything together. Look here, 22,000. See what happened in this case. I have mentioned the input parameter name, followed by that whatever the value that I want to pass it. You can pass whatever value you want it. Okay, since I have used the output parameter also in the stored procedure, I just declared this variable net salary equal to output the value of the net salary to this variable. And whatever the value stored in the variable, how do I display it? Select at net salary. Okay. So this is how I need to do it. Got it? So this is a little bit different from the previous story. Initially, I started with no arguments, and then we started with the parameters, arguments or parameters. Okay, parameters, and then input parameters. In this example, along with the input parameters, I've used the output parameter also, and also how to execute the stored procedure, which has the output. So in the case of stored where you can return multiple output values. Okay. Whereas in the case of stored function, you will have to you can return only one value. That is the difference between these two. So what you do is you can you can use this logic, same logic, and then create a stored procedure for the same thing. Okay, sorry, stored function. Next one is the stored function. The stored function also somewhat similar here, but there are some difference between the stored procedure and stored function. How to create a function? Create function instead of procedure. You can see that. So the same thing. Okay, the calculate net sal. Okay, since the function, I'm going to say fn, and then here you need to use the open parenthesis and then the closed parenthesis to define your parameter. Okay, at for example, gross. Sorry, I just say gross salary decimal 10,2 as begin end. Okay, but here the function should have the return statement. Okay, return at net salary. Okay, so here what we want to is we can, in this example, what I will do is we will define different tax rate based on the gross salary. For different gross salary, we will assign specific tax rate. And then what we will do is we will compute the gross rate. So what I will do is, okay, I will just show you here itself because it is, okay, here, sorry, here I did not mention returns. This you need to specify returns in the functions, create function, okay, returns decimal, let's say 10,2 in this case. What value or the data type needs to be returned, right? That you need to specify. Create function name inside the parenthesis. Unity, specify the variable which you are going to use it. Okay, or sorry, the parameter. Okay, the parameter. This is called parameter, not a variable. Okay, and then you need to specify the returns statement. This function returns what data type? Decimal. Okay, we want to return, like, the net salary. Okay, fine, as begin, and then here I just mentioned it here. So the return statement should also be there in your statement here. Okay, in the body also. Okay, begin end is the body for your stored procedure as well as the function. What I do is I just quickly put this tax rate decimal. Tax amount. This is slightly different. Okay, and here the amount is more, right? More than, 12,2 or something like that. My net connection is unstable. In case if it gets dropped, don't worry. We'll continue next weekend. Oddly, we left with two more topics. Tax amount, tax rate. I'm going to use the net salary here. Net salary and decimal 12,2. Let it be there. And then I want to calculate the tax rate. Okay, gross salary. If I'm going to use if gross salary is less than or equal to 50,000, whatever the condition you want it. Okay, set your tax rate as 0.2. Okay, LCF. See here I'm using LCF. Okay, at gross salary is less than or equal to 1 lakh. Or here I mentioned more zeros. Or we'll mention 10 lakh now. Okay, the set at tax rate is equivalent to 0.2. Here I'm going to use else. For the rest of them, anything above this one also, right? So make sure that you're aligning it properly. Okay, the if else, everything in the proper alignment. Fine, tax rate, we have set everything. And next one is the calculate the tax amount. We have set the different slab, right? Next, we need to calculate this tax amount. Once you calculate the tax amount, and if you subtract it from your gross salary, that is what your net salary. We just think that way, okay? Set statement. Here I'm going to use it. Tax amount at the rate tax amount is equivalent to this is my tax rate, okay? And then here at gross salary into tax rate, okay? And finally, calculate the net salary. Calculate. See, this is how in the real world scenario, right? It's just simple thing, but still it will be a little bit complex one. You have some kind of since you have commands, everything, right? It makes your job pretty simple in terms of understanding the logic that you use. It's a net salary. Did I define somewhere in net salary? Okay, net salary is equivalent to at gross salary minus at tax amount. Now I'm going to return the net salary. Here there is no output parameter. Instead, we use a return statement to return the net salary. Okay. So end. That's it. Now I just something saw wrong. Yeah, net salary. This is not double thing. Everything is correct. No underline, red colored one. Okay. I just execute this stored function. This is what your stored function. Stored function and stored procedure more or less same. Create it once and reuse it as many times as you wanted. But in the case of stored procedure, using output parameter, you can return more than one output value. But with stored function, you can return only one value. Okay. So now how do I execute this one? How do I execute this one? Even in this case, the stored function, how to execute the stored function? That is the question. Now, how do we execute this one? We can use the select command also. Okay, we can use the select statement, or you can say here we need to specify the gross salary, right? In this case, I'm going to use execute. I think execute will not work. I don't remember it here, but in Oracle, you can do it this way. Okay, here the gross salary we need to pass it. Let's say 50,000. I'm going to say. It is not giving me the output. Okay, this one I just forgot it. Okay, how to Stored function, yeah, we can use select statement. There itself we can use it. I don't remember. Okay, so what we will do is I'm going to use the select statement, and I'm going to use this in my okay. What I'm going to do is first I need to declare the net salary, like how I did it right here. Net salary, and the next thing is I'm going to, instead of this one, I'm going to use the select statement. Okay, here what I am going to do is I'm going to say at net sal net salary equivalent to that function name. Okay, and in this case we need to pass the value, right? Here the declare net salary decimal. Okay, and here I need to specify the semicolon. It will throw an error. And then declare, yeah, this is the one I did it. Okay, here I'm going to use the parenthesis. Calculate net salary is not recognized. ED6 net salary built-in function name. Level 15 is not a recognized built-in function name. Okay, it's not a built-in function name, hence we cannot use it here. Okay. What we will do is okay. Okay. Here I need to give the gross salary, right? Okay. Declare gross salary. Okay, I will just use the decimal here instead of net salary. Must declare the scalar. Okay, here this is the one, right? Okay, what I will do is okay, I'll declare for this also. Not a recognized built-in function. Okay. Select net salary. Okay, I have to gross salary. This is the this is how we can use it, right? So the set gross salary, I mentioned it. I declared the variable here, and net salary also I mentioned it. Select star, we can select net salary. Okay, otherwise, let me just do like this. Must declare the scalar variable. Yeah, gross salary. Okay, let me do one thing. Gross salary and net salary, I defined it, and gross salary assign the value. After this is fine. And select statement, I'm going to use this one. And but if I remove this, but that doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's not. Let me do one thing. I'll just use Google. Simple function, you can simply use the select statement. Okay, but passing the value. My net connection is a little bit slow. Hmm. Here I used it directly, right? But still it is not working. Okay, gross salary 5,000 itself, everything is fine. Executed, how to execute stored procedure, nice. Stored function. MySQL. Okay, stored function in SQL Server. The syntax problem only. Okay, I don't remember the syntax. Create function. They've given here learn. See, this is the learn.microsoft.com. You can go and check all the syntax here. And also, like I said, the error code, everything. This is the the document manual for the TSQL statements available in the learn.microsoftsql.com TSQL statement page. It is available. And this is the syntax for this one. Okay, if you want to modify the function, you can do it. And then returns. Okay, everything is fine. Arguments. Even here, let me select star from assembly modules. It shows something else. User defined functions. So even the case of user defined function, we simply use the function and we need to pass the value, right? Create function as external name, creating a CLR function, different types of functions, but this is a common thing. Even the manual is not much helpful. Yeah, here they mentioned select star from sales dot the function. Okay, function name is this one space 642, right? That is, how does this make sense? And it's not a required built-in, it's not a recognized built-in function name. See, it is correct. I used it correctly, right? Select star from sales. But in this case, we are not using a table. If you are using a table, you need to use select star from something like that. Okay. Or let me try this select star from, this is the table name dot this one. Okay. And in this case, select, will this work like this? It says invalid object name. That is not the object at all. It's not a table. Select, let me do one thing, dbo dot calculate sales function. And at, inside of this, I just specify it here. Gross salary, net salary. Okay, let me do one thing. Yeah, now it works fine, correct? Without the help. Here you need to prefix with DBO, database owner. Yeah, the help is somehow helpful. You need to prefix the function name by the schema name, DBO dot. Okay, this is how you can execute your stored function also. Okay, so now you understand what is DBO, database owner. This is your schema name. What is a schema? I explained to in the very first session. You just refer that back. Okay, fine. Now you understood with this demonstration what is a stored function and what is stored procedure, and what is the difference between these two, stored procedure and these two. I just I think I put it here. The difference between these two are, yeah, the difference is the stored procedure can, you can use the, you can execute the stored procedure using exec command. Okay, whereas in this case, you need to, the stored functions, you need to reference it in your select query only. You cannot use execute, okay, to execute the function, stored function, okay. The stored procedure, you can call it independently or from other stored procedures also, or triggers also, you can use the stored procedures, okay. Whereas the stored function, you can use it in expression or column values or as part of other functions. You can call this function as part of other functions. You can use a stored function as part of your stored procedure itself, or triggers also you can use stored function. Okay, stored procedures, you can use it in a trigger or you can use in your application code. Similarly, you can use a function inside a trigger also. And at the same time, you can use a function inside the stored procedure. Can I use a stored procedure inside a function? No. Okay, that is not possible. But you can use a function inside the stored procedure. Like I said, stored function has to return a value. Okay, return a value. See, it returns a single value. Stored function has to return a single value. It will return a single value. But with stored procedure, you can, with the output, right, you can return more than one value. But it is not mandatory when it comes to stored procedure. You can return a value or you don't have to return a value. But in the case of stored function, you have to return a value, stored function. Okay. That is these are the difference between stored procedure and stored function.